Okay, welcome back, folks, to Line of Battle. Lines of Battle, actually. No. Anyways, so I finally found like a really small game, like in terms of the troop size, because there's five different categories, and I think this is the second smallest. Can't remember what the name is, but there are two things about this replay that really I want to cover. First off, the size. It's one of the smaller. It would be the smallest one that I've casted so far on this channel. And secondly, this game, I'm pretty sure, goes all the way to the very last turn. So what I've noticed, and I've watched a couple more replays that I haven't recorded or showcased because they didn't seem too interesting. But what I've noticed so far is that most players in lines of battle, when they find that they are in a situation which has deteriorated, like somewhat substantially, they will immediately just surrender the game and then move on. Very different from War of Dots, where usually in War of Dots, everyone's going at it until the last man, woman, and child is dead. Bit of exaggeration, but that's just how it is, especially in a free for all game. Of course, Switch, I've talked at great length of how it is very much a strategy game, but it's a very different type of strategy game. In the free for all scenario, having the mentality of never give up and never surrender. Background Winston Churchill, thank you, Lund. Yeah, that's something you gotta have. You gotta have that kind of grit if you really want to boost your win rates. But here in Lines of Battle, usually once a player decides that the situation is deteriorated in favor of the enemy, that I think that is no longer worth playing, we immediately fold it right there and then. But this one, I'm fairly certain that they go at it until the last man standing. So we'll go over army compositions first. So red here, Oivato 1, right? He's gone for a very well balanced, well rounded army. He's got 4 rifles. You'll love to see him. Got about seven, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 skirmishers, 4 lights. Main group of line infantry, no other infantry variants. And he's got 2 dragoons, artillery, 2 8-pounders, and the 2 lights. Very well rounded. Not a lot of fancy stuff, but just standard. Just standard. Now this is one other thing about this game that when it comes to casting, I really prefer to get games where the armor compositions are a little bit asymmetric. They're not like carbon copy mirrors trying to follow the meta or whatever that is. I've been trying my best to try study what all the meta is and what all the higher players what their thought processes are, but I've had a little bit of trouble following because I haven't had time to actually play the game myself. But yeah, it's games like these, and I've already showcased one game where it was like a very, very asymmetric battle. Uh, in my opinion, it's far more entertaining to watch and far more easier and entertaining to cast. Because at least this way, I really kind of know you can kind of interpret what each player's strategy is and try to see how each player is going to try and play to their strengths and cover their weaknesses as the game is progressing. And it doesn't just devolve down into minute analysis of all the little dots in the, oh, not dots, god damn it, rectangles, yeah, going at each other on all the little small, minute pixels of terrain. That's where I think it's a lot more fun for me to watch and cast, and hopefully for you, the viewer, a little bit more entertaining to see. So, yeah, completely different type of strategy going on here. We've just got 2 variants for Blue's main force. Blue here, Super Potato. Nice. He's just gone for Grens and Heavy Cav. And then he's got 4 skirmishers. That's it. He's got like a heavy shock assault army. So it's very easy to figure out there what his plan is. All he wants to do is try and close in with the enemy, try to go after the center of gravity or whatever his his opponent's force composition is revolving around. In this case, since it's a very well balanced army, the only 2 things that Blue is looking here to get at is trying to break the main core and the artillery. Oh yeah, I forgot. Blue has 0 artillery as well. Whew. You're either a very brave man, or yeah, we'll just keep it like that. It's in Red's best interest here to actually play a very, very tactical game, trying to get as much money as he can out of all of his irregular forces, thin down Blue's shock assault army here, and by the time Blue closes the distance, if Red can, not get involved in the close range melee, that would be the ideal scenario. But I'm going to assume that Blue here kind of has a plan as to how he's going to defeat a more well-rounded army. He's probably already got a plan to how he's going to close the distance. Yeah, I want to see this. This is going to be interesting. Okay, so that's the army composition. We'll run it at zero point 0.5 throughout the whole game, but we need to see the deployment here. Oh, forgot. Map analysis. No real defining features. We don't have any major hills. We've got very slight deviation in elevation across the whole map, but it's mainly a very open plains map. We've got a couple of small villages and towns and just a handful of patches of forest here. Yeah, okay. If Red can, get as much as he can get out of the terrain with all of his irregular forces, that might be just enough to shift balance of power here to his favor, and it might be all the decisive advantage it needs to really carry the day. But just looking at the stars here, this one's right out in the open. You only have these two patches of trees, not even much of a forest, covering the center point. On the left side here, blue is slightly favored, I think, just because this small village much closer. Will he be in range if he actually gets an infantry unit? Yes, he would actually be in range. The problem is that he has no artillery. He's got no artillery and he only has these four skirmishers. Even if he does play a traditional game of, how we usually analyze trying to get the terrain to your advantage for your army, I don't think it would actually be much of advantage. If he doesn't have many guns and many long range units, even if he plays for position, I don't think it would be too helpful for him. Yeah, but normally if we were to analyze, blue would be favored on this left side here. Now on the right, we've got the minor objective at the crossroads, these three roads. Okay, I'm not entirely sure of how the terrain feature for these like hedgerow type farm areas. I think they do give some cover. We're about to find out here. Actually, we should be able to find out if the unit is, yeah, you should show up here if there's like a terrain bonus. But I think because it's still in the open, yeah, okay, we'll keep track of this. We'll keep track of this. Anyway, okay. Um, yeah, I think Red here, if he can get enough play out of his irregular forces, he ought to be fine. Okay, so army deployments. Blue just stacked everything. One massive ball of death and skirmishers out front to do the scouting. Red has decided to stack up on the left. Okay, interesting. I think it's due to the size of the match itself. Usually in the other replays that I've casted, it's very rare to see any one player stack up on just one side and play one side of the map only. We have seen players deploy extra parts of their army onto one side to heavily push one side, but we've never seen one player fully give up an entire flank like this. So this is going to be interesting to see. So we've got asymmetric deployment, asymmetric army composition on a fairly open plains map. Right. So we've got all the skirmishers set up in the center here. An infantry division's rifle corps set up on the left. Three separate columns of mainline infantry and the dragoons in the rear. Okay, he's going to keep his dragoons as the reserve, cavalry out in the front, and the light infantry divisions out. Okay, so we're going to push down here on the left, and he's completely given up the right star. If Blue had gone for a more traditional army build, he would be able to get most of the points here if it were to develop in a more even-mannered deployment. You would have a significant advantage on just victory points alone. But that has not happened. Now we shall see what occurs. Skirmishes moving up, rifles as well. He's taking this time going into the terrain here. I forgot from the last time. We can use this mechanic. I love this. This is amazing. I wish War of Dots had this. Right, this is what blue can see right now. So Nothing much. All we can see is the regular forces and the scouts. We switch over to, yep, still the same story here, only these four. Now, once the heavier stuff gets identified, it will be interesting to see how both players react. But so far in all of my replays, we have not seen, just because I think the size of the games themselves, there's not really much opportunity for either player to really do a counter deployment where they, pull back one flank or pull units off from one side and then shift it around to the other side to, counteract the enemy's army composition or deployment. We haven't quite seen any like that level of play yet because everyone has been playing somewhat symmetrically, except for the first game that I've casted. But here, this will be interesting to see. Okay, go back to all visible. Okay, switch over here. Okay, this is what blue is seeing. Okay, switch back to red. Right, red has identified the entire force of blue. Um, I'm going to go under the assumption that red is a fairly experienced player, that he can already identify that this is basically it, because you know what the costs are of the units beforehand. You can count. This is basically the bulk of his forces. Red already has scouted it all out. He's done a good job keeping most of his, well, about half his army all hidden behind here in the fog of war. So he has the advantage right now of intelligence and reconnaissance. He has the army disposition and composition. Very nice. Now, if you're red, it's up to you now. Start moving your irregular forces and just play a game of maneuver right now. Get yourself into good positions, of which your skirmishers are already in very good positions. So you're again trying to get as much as you can out of the terrain here. There's all the little forces that you have already deployed here. Blue is not doing that at all. From my point of view, blue is just using skirmishers to just go out, have a look, identify where the enemy is. Pretty sure he's just trying to figure out where the center of gravity of his opponent's army is, and then he's just going to send everybody right into the center. That's what it looks like to me from here. He's not even maneuvering his heavy cav onto the flanks. He's not doing any kind of like maneuvers really with his army. Okay, so up to red now. Try see what his deployment is like. Okay, we'll keep our vision on to blue for now because he hasn't quite identified everything yet. Okay. Right. Artillery is set up, shots are going out. This is what you want to do is that once you've identified what the enemy's, main concentration of forces, that's where you want the artillery to be committed. But the problem is that because of how heavy the forces are on blue side here, I don't think these two 8-pounders are gonna quite be able to do enough damage alone by themselves to attrit them to any kind of situation where the rest of Red's mainline army is going to be able to just fight them one-on-one. He's going to have to leverage every unit that he has on his roster to try get enough of an advantage for that to occur, for that his mainline can finally win the day. Skirmishers in the center, out in the open, engaging the two red skirmishers in the forest here. I believe that the skirmishers can't cap points, so there's no real threat of losing this point right now. No play of any objectives on the right side. Okay. All right. Go back here to blue. Okay, swinging around to the left side. He's taking lots of shots here from the 8-pounders. He's kept everyone in column. Okay. So, blue has correctly identified where the center of gravity of red's forces are, and he's going for it. Like I said, that's really only one way you can really play this army, especially the way that he's been playing it so far. The only real variation that you could have had is, like I said, play around with the cavalry. They are cavalry, they are heavy cavalry, but they're still cavalry. Move around the sides, do some feints here and there, maybe contest with some of the skirmishers. He can get some play out of that, but no, that didn't happen at all. He's gone for like some kind of World War II style blitzkrieg where we've got the tanks out in the front, they're just gonna punch a hole, and then the mechanized infantry go in from behind and try to get a breakthrough. At least that's the way it looks like to me. Breakthrough with the Grens, and then have the heavy cavalry exploit the breakthrough and get around the sides. 8-pounders are trying to do their best, but like they've barely made a dent in his forces. They've been firing for at least how many? I think about 2, 3 turns now. They've been firing at max range. Now the thing about artillery is that the closer you get to them, the more accurate and more damage they do. And I do believe they have canister shot. Yes, they do. So once they get across to here, once Blue's forces get to around here, I think we might see, significant damage being done to their health bars. But yeah, right now, absolutely nothing's going on. Okay, so right now the rifles are in range. They're getting shots off. Line infantry stacked up on the left here. Right. The cavalry really needed to have been moving around to the sides like at least 2 turns ago. Because you detected them. Okay, if I go back here. Oh, yeah, I can actually. Oh, wow, this is cool. I wish War of Dots could do this. The ability to like rewind as well. Beautiful. Yeah, okay, so round about here, you've already identified pretty much all of Blue's forces. The cavalry needed to have started maneuvering around. Um, Instead, Red has kept them in the rear as a reserve force. Uh, if this force gets a breakthrough, this is not enough of a reserve to really counter. It's not going to work out that the way you probably think it is going to, because like I said, it's not a traditional build, and you are playing into his game, mind you. Blue wants you all concentrated so that once he finally gets into melee, you can't go anywhere. Well, theoretically, you're not gonna be able to go anywhere. It's too late at that point to start maneuvering around very rapidly. Yeah, yeah. Oh boy, the rifles are just not quite in range here. Hmm. Red's gonna have to do some like LeBron James level micro going on here. If that even makes any sense. He's got to like get everybody just in range as to not risk getting charged at. And yeah, he still needs to get them in range so that he gets his money's worth out of all these skirmishes. Right now, we've not seen enough of Red leveraging his irregular forces to try shift this battle into his favor. This is gonna be wild. This is definitely gonna be wild. He's not. Yeah, he's just going for it. Blue's just going for it. Lines being formed. Yes, there we go. Okay. So one rifle completely deleted off the board. He did maneuver them around to the left side here. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I really think Blue should have spread out his cavalry just a little bit more instead of trying to keep him like this. But like I said, I think he's going for this like blitzkrieg style, where the Gwens break a hole right in the front line and have the cav go through that hole and then swing around behind. I think it would have been better just keep it a little bit more flexible, deal with these guys earlier on, especially these skirmishers out here. They managed to get some shots as they were coming in on this approach for about 2 turns there. Uh, Blue skirmisher is still exchanging shots here on this side. It doesn't really matter for Blue, right? There's not much that he could really leverage out of his skirmishers here. It's in best interest just to tie down as many of Red's skirmishers with his own skirmishers, level the playing field a little bit there. It's kind of worked out actually, because these 3 skirmishers on Red side are not doing much except trying to just deal with these guys here. Um, so yeah, okay. Good plays by Blue there. Okay, they switching the canister. Can I tell if they're switching to the canister shot, or do I just have to pay attention to the animation? Well, we're about to find out. I'm gonna slow this down to the lowest so that we can see what happens. Good lord. So the heavy camp there on the left side wiped out this rifles unit. It's gonna go and knock out these dudes. Blue's heavy cav has formed a very solid line orientated to the north. The Gwen's instead going to focus on the left and center. Okay, he's not gone for any kind of breakthrough, and I don't blame him because it's such a small engagement zone. Even if he tried to just like break through the middle and try to exploit and going back around, there's not really that much space to maneuver. You might as well just go straight at him at that point. Yeah, it's gonna work out here. Skirmishers in range, getting shots at. Even at point blank range, man, I'm pretty sure I still can't tell what kind of rounds these guys are firing. I'm sorry, I'm not too familiar with how these things work. I'd assume they're already firing canister, but even at point blank range with the normal cannon shot, there's barely any damage going on here. A little bit of dents in the organization. That's about it. Oh my. Okay. Cavalry still chilling out in the back here. Oh boy. Now the problem is, right, even if Red did manage to get his cav around the sides, because of the way the mechanics work, actually no. Since they're in column formation, if they swing around to the rear, yeah, they still can get bonuses for a charge, assuming the enemy cavalry doesn't counter. There goes the charge. That's the artillery gone there. That's the second artillery unit gone. This guy's org just dropped from like 75 to 25%. It's like half his org is gone just like that. This guy is almost gone as well. Column Gren's going straight into light infantry and line formation. Okay, blue has decided to not care about this one rifles unit in the rear. Not really caring much about the skirmishers that are also in his rear here. We do have a charge by the heavy cavalry on this one rifle unit. They're not going to last very long. Blue's best interest would be to try get these skirmishers, engage these skirmishers on the back here. You've already got 4 of them tied down. Oh, this one's almost broken as well. Okay, very nice, very nice. Right. Is Red going to be able to hold on here? I don't think so. I don't think so. He's played into Blue's game here. He was not quite able to utilize his irregular forces properly to thin him down until the battle really started over here. There goes the brakes. That's 3 units gone right there. He's still just going straight in. Red is counter-deployed in the sense that he's shifted his line infantry into column as well. But line it against Gren. Gren is favored. Light cavalry went around to the left side and just went head on to the... he just went head on into the Grens and the heavy cav. Oh boy. Okay. There's opportunity on the right side here for Red. You're getting you're starting to turn the flank. You've broken one of the heavy cav. If you can knock out these 2 heavy cav here, you only got 1 more reserve to deal with, and then it just comes down to speed. If you can swing around hard enough to get in behind the Gren columns, you might have a play there. Okay, heavy cav stuck in melee with the infantry. Yep, got him. Very nice. Damn, dude, look at that. The entire line is broken. Yikes. And he's getting around to the sides here. Okay, good breaks. This one line infantry managed to hold off these charges. I don't know how he did it, but he did. Double breaks there. You can barely tell what the hell's going on. It was looking real good for blue there until about a turn. Okay, we gotta rewind that. Okay, so we got the breaks on the left here, a break in the center. We got this one dude breaking out through the side here. Okay, yeah, that guy's toast. Hitting on the side. How did this guy... Wait a minute. Some of the combat here doesn't quite make sense to me. Okay, that one made sense, because this was a line infantry that was just set up stationary. The Grens were already slightly depleted, went in head first, lost a lot of organization, they broke. That one here doesn't make much sense. This guy was... Oh, he's turned around. Okay. How did you manage to do that? That's interesting. I think... Doesn't quite... It makes sense mechanically. I understand what happened. This guy switched around, so he's facing forward, so it wasn't a rear charge into a stationary line infantry in mass formation. Well, actually, in column formation now. But I don't think that makes much sense that the Gwens would have broken that easily for that. Another break there. Heavy cap going around the side here. Just slightly grazed this unit, and now he's going for the center here. Okay, a lot of blue's forces are broken. Very interesting. Blue should have had the day right there. And okay, all of Red's main forces are all broken. He's only got this one line infantry left. The rest are cav and skirmishers. He's maneuvered his own skirmishers from the center off to the left here. I'm assuming trying to run down these routed units with the skirmishers, try to prevent them from rallying. He's got to now pivot around behind and then just go into this town here. Does he have enough staying power to really do that? No, he's decided not to go for that. Instead, he's trying to regroup and rally his army. Trying to keep this unit here from regrouping. These two heavy cav are almost out of the map here. This one rifles unit trying his best to keep them routed. Okay, got one Gren in column formation and the two skirmishers trying to keep this part of Red's army from rallying. Okay, one of the heavy cav from blue has already exited the map. The second one has exited the map. Okay, blue has managed to wipe out that rifles. Is that enough time to rally the rest of the forces here? Yeah, it is. Yeah, he's got to regroup now. Organization is still really low on these recently rallied units. Try to run down the skirms with the heavy cav. Okay, blue is doing a really good job of keeping red's units, chasing them off the board. Got the bulk of his core infantry rallied. Can he get these last two Grens rallied before they go off the map? Nope, one of them's gone. Getting a charge here on the skirmishers with the heavy cav. I didn't quite get it. Oh, they routed each other. Okay. Successful regroup here. Good micro on the flanks, trying to chase off Red's army. There is opportunity here for Red to regroup this part, I believe. He can get rid of these skirmishers. Yeah. In terms of victory points, which I have not been keeping track of, blue is in favor. He has technically won the day. Won the battlefield, should I say. Hasn't won the day quite yet. We're already halfway through this battle. Okay. Blue is taking his time to regroup and regen his org. Going after the skirmishers here. All of red skirmishers are all spread out quite thin. Opportunity to pick them off one by one. Right. Blue's heavy cav. Most of them are all broken. That's two that just left the board right there. Can he get one of these rallied? I don't think he's going to be able to get this guy rallied over here. This one that's going to the south, maybe. Street fighting happening in this small little village between the Grens and the skirmishers. Skirmishers not going to last long at all. Oh, he managed it. This guy rallied. Okay. Grens are now going to try and chase this skirm off, but is it enough? This Gren unit is heavily depleted, and this skirm is still pretty much fresh. This guy, I'm pretty confident, is going to be able to rally before he gets off the board. Yeah. Okay, so a couple of units have rallied over here. Red has an advantage in force concentration in this north part here. Let me zoom out a little bit. Yeah. Okay, Gwens are preparing for charge from the line infantry over there. Okay, he's taking the charge. The Gren squad here in south, more than enough to push out the skirmishers. There's that. skirmishes in the north. They too sparsely moved around that they couldn't quite prevent all of the rallies from occurring. So that's the north side in red's favor. Okay, red is recovering. Good recovery here. There were just not enough irregular forces on blue's side to really keep up. We're trying to chase all of red's forces off the map. Oh, the guy in the south! He didn't rally. Oh, what a shame. What a shame. Okay. Halftime. Well, what do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 grins and 1 heavy cap left on blue. He still has two skirmishes on the board, but they're broken and they're running. Red, okay, red's artillery is gone. He's got 4 skirmishes on the board, 4 mainline infantry, and 2 dragoons. Is this guy gonna rally in time? He's just stuck on the board there. What? I think this guy might be able to rally and get back. I'm not too sure what's going on with that side there. But okay, center. Gonna try for the charge. Red skirmishers are in the village. It's not gonna be enough. They're not gonna be able to hold that on their own. The organization on blue's grins. He's got quite a bit of it regenerated. Okay, shots fired on the approach here. Yep. Pushing them off and out. Got the charge, he got the hit. Org is gone, they're broken. This grenadier is being caught out in the open. He's got shots getting shots from the rear and the side. Might be able to pick this guy off before he gets into the village there. Blue now going for the victory points. He has realized that one of red's line infantry is going off around the sides, capping the points. We're at turn 29 out of 36. So this might just come down to victory points, which would be a first for my channel to showcase the proper victory all the way to the end, where the victory points, became the final decider. The dragoons rallied and coming back from the north side here. Blue has completely not done anything with this last unit of heavy cap. I think he's just keeping them there trying to regen the org, but there's only 6 turns left on the clock. I think this was a mistake. Either that or he just doesn't realize that he has one of his cav units still on the board. Gwen going to square formation. He can afford to do this because there's no artillery on the board anymore. And he's got this village covering fire from the side. He's still getting just pushed around. I thought that the square formation does a pretty okay job against charges on the front. I think it was just too depleted. Right. We have a Gren squad that's dealt with the skirmish in the center. He's going for the middle point here. And another Gren squad is going to face off against this mainline infantry, contest that point. The heavy cav has started moving. Okay, blue didn't forget about it. Okay, very nice. We've got broken units in the center. Red is trying to pin them down with this one line unit, prevent them from rallying. Would that be enough? Ooh. Okay, Dragoon getting into the flank of this Grenadier in column facing the wrong way. But it was not enough. I don't think he quite got the charge up on it. And okay, he's moving that way, switched around. I don't think there's enough org here to win this fight. The Dragoons might be able to carry the day here. Units broken in the center. Red has the middle of the battlefield now. Ooh. Okay. We have 3 turns left to play. The Gren on the right side is broken. Blue kind of needed that win over there. Right. Is there enough here on the board for blue to cap the points? I don't think so. I don't think so. Red has decided to peel off from here. I think he knows that there's not enough time for this unit here to rally. Broken the last, second last Gren in the center. Blue's about to cap. He needs like another turn at least. And no, he's gonna be interrupted here. Goes in the square. Heavy cap coming around from the left here, or going into the square of the line infantry. He still went with the charge. Okay. Damn, that's gotta be painful. 2 line infantry in column, flanking and charging the 1 square on the victory point. You got it. That's it. Dead toast. Yeah, I got the game I wanted. Right down to the last man. This is gameplay, all right. That was a hell of a game. The full 36 turns, and both players trying to leverage each their advantages to the best of their ability. Blue actually getting the early game, but he just did not have enough skirmishers spread out to keep Red from rallying his forces. It really did come down to the middle of that fight where there were certain instances where Blue's forces broke in situations that I don't think really warranted a break, like mechanically wise. The ability for the columns to just flip around 180 immediately and then just deny any rear advantages, charge advantages, even though being completely surrounded. Um, well, it is what it is. But yeah, it was the mess of that. Once the breakthrough occurred, that a lot of Blue's forces just lost org, and that was enough for Red to capitalize on. Good game. Well played to both players. Thoroughly entertaining.